Hey everyone, welcome back to Keto and Crime. Today we do indeed have Lori Vallow's interview the day that Charles Vallow died. This actually took place back in July of 2019, although it was released at the same time that the interviews with Zolima, Jason, and Melanie Gibb were released, but those were actually from April of this year, because of course Lori Vallow is in jail where she belongs. And this is the actual interview that Chandler Police did with her on the day that Charles was shot by her brother, Alex Cox. On my last reaction, I had a couple of you say you couldn't hear the actual interview part, so I'm going to do some tweaking of the audio with this to hope I get it right. Please let me know down below if it's better, worse. You should give up reactions because you don't know how to do it. Whatever you feel that you should do, but I thought I would go ahead and at least react to part of this. And with that being said, let's dive in.
So just make it easier so you don't have to.
Sweet.
Yeah, you got it.
Thank you.
But I'll be helping yes. So if you want to.
Yeah, Margaret's using the other one,
Okay.
so you'll be, Brendan's gonna monitor for him.
Okay, so just run out this way
Okay.
if there's anything, but if, you know.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Going to fast forward it just a little bit until she's in the room. There we go.
And your date of birth? And your phone number?
I don't understand why date of birth's redacted. We have that.
The house, right? Okay. Okay, I know this sounds silly, but it's probably the easiest way to start, is just to tell me what happened. And then, so you can start what makes the most sense to you, and we'll just work our way through, and I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions just to kind of clarify.
Sure.
So I know you talked to the initial patrol officer.
And he just got information. He didn't say
Okay.
anything.
So yeah, if you can just kind of tell me kind of what happened. It sounds like some.
What's up with the teddy bear? Is that teddy bear being interrogated? Probably a better witness than Lori Vallow. But anyway.
This may have started last night or something along those lines.
Right.
So start where you think it makes the most sense.
Okay, so,
I told you, it's a crazy question.
Well, so we moved into this house 3 weeks ago because he offered to get me a house here where all my family is. So we
Okay.
were in Houston. And so he's like, we had decided to separate or whatever. So he's like, well, I'll
That's a
pay
saga,
for a house.
isn't it? Why don't you tell her about that?
JJ, he's never about Tylee, but he's all about JJ. Because we adopted him together. He's
Okay.
his.
Well, Tylee has a father that was very active in her life, from what I understand, and it's not that Charles didn't care for Tylee. JJ was his family, was his son. He considered him his actual son, whereas Tylee was very surely his stepdaughter. I don't think it was because, I mean, Lori, you've been married so many times. Did all of your husbands treat every single child you had like their own, even though they weren't their father? Really? That's a really crappy point to bring out, in my opinion.
Yeah, few. We adopted him as a
Okay.
baby. And so we adopted him as a baby, and so we've been raising him together. And he travels all the time for business, so he's used to just going back and forth. So he's always gone like Monday through Friday. So he came when we first moved in and brought me stuff from Houston, like a U-Haul. And then he hasn't been back. But it's all these threats on my phone all the time, you know, like whatever, all these things. And then he told me...
What kind of threats?
Just... You'd have to read them to see, but he's always mad at me, right?
Okay.
And he doesn't want a divorce, but I don't like him and don't want to deal with him.
He's angry because you stole money from him. You are involved in a crazy cult. You're cheating on him with another married person that he knows about. And yeah. And he's the only sole support. You just suck money. So yeah, I'd be mad at you too, succubus.
How it is. So we married for 14 years, we dealt with it for 14 years, of him being horrible to her. Like, he gets in huge fights with her, a lot of things. But anyway, so he said, I'm coming Wednesday night, all of a sudden. I want to see JJ. And I told him, I said, I will never keep JJ from you. You can come see whenever you want to, come take him to school, whatever. Like, I'm not going to do that.
So when you initially moved, he had said he was going to buy you a house. So you moved here with your...
Yeah, he was going to rent us a house.
And so we moved...
All my family lives here. So we lived here for a long time.
Okay.
And then he moved us to Houston.
Okay.
And we were there with my son. He was out of school. He didn't have any of his, like, services, his DDD, his anything. He, like, ripped him out of school and said, we're moving.
Okay.
And I didn't go with him at first. And he took him. And I let him take him. And I didn't file anything or whatever. And then he filed something against me and said, I'm only going to get supervised visits because I'm crazy and blah, blah, blah. You know, the story.
Charles called it like he saw it.
For like 30 days. And let him take care of him. And let him see what I've been doing for the past 7 years.
Weren't you the one that tried to sell his service dog in Idaho? That dog is so lucky that the organization that trained him came and got him, because you'd have probably killed that dog too.
I have grown kids. I have grandkids. Like, okay, you're going to threaten me that you're not going to let me see my child without supervised visitation? Okay, do it for 30 days and see how long it lasts. You're begging me to come pick him up.
Yeah.
Which he did. It's just like, come back and whatever. So I moved in with them to Houston for the family, you know, and Tylee went with me. We drove to Houston from here and left all our family and all his support, all my son's support, like his cousins, everything. And we were there, and I enrolled him in school there. I tried to start all his services, and it takes forever. Yeah. You know, it takes so long to get that done.
There's no easy transferring.
There's no easy transferring.
You start from the beginning.
It's a total new thing. Yeah. And he didn't do any of it in those 30 days. So he just has gone without services, without even applying. And I'm like, do you even realize? Because he didn't ever do it in the first place. I did it. Long story. I'll keep it short. He hasn't been here in a couple weeks since we moved in. He came. He was very nasty when he was there, but he travels for business. So he went back to the Houston house, and he's like, I'm coming on Wednesday night, and I'm going to come pick up JJ and take him to school Thursday, pick him up Thursday, take him Friday, whatever. And I said, Casey wanted to come to the house, and I said, you can't come stay at this house because you can't get along with Tylee. She's a minor. She has to live here. Yeah. So because he gets in huge fights with her. Okay. And she hates him. And so I'm like, you can't.
I didn't get that from Tylee, but maybe I'm wrong. What did you guys think? Did you think Tylee had a bad relationship with Charles? I didn't get that from any of the times I've heard Tylee speak on the matter, but I could be wrong. And, of course, Lori's painting Charles in the absolute worst light possible.
Because he stays in hotels all the time because he travels for business, and the business pays for it, right? So I said, I will book you a hotel nearby.
What's this? Business pays for it. They either pay or they don't pay. There's no pays for it unless you're trying to say his business doesn't make money, but it makes enough to keep you in a house that he's paying for. Just saying.
But he goes to them, but he mostly works in California. Okay. No matter where we live. And we lived in Hawaii. He'd work in California. He'd work in Texas. He has like books of business in different areas. And so he just goes wherever. It kind of just gives him freedom that he doesn't have to stay home every day and take care of special needs child. It's like an excuse, right? So I've done that myself for the past 7 years anyway. And I was a single mom before I married him with my 2 kids. Yeah. And he had 2 kids. We got married, tried to make a family. You know how it goes. Anyway. So he said he was coming last night. I said, well, you can't stay at this house because you can't get along with Tylee. And I'll get you a hotel and you can come play with JJ. But he goes to school all day. Yeah. I got him back into his school. His services, I met with the DDD yesterday, and they finally are getting his services back, but we're paying $125 a day to have him back at school because he's so out of his routine. He's been a nightmare on the floor, kicking stuff, hitting stuff, walls, like, he just ripped him out of his life. Yeah. So, anyway, just how he is, because he only thinks about himself. So, he says, coming to get JJ, and JJ's like, I don't want Dad, because he knows Dad took him away, so he was freaking out, right? So, I didn't tell him he was even coming, like, Dad's going to come take you to school or anything. So, he didn't bother me last night.
I love how this police officer is just agreeing with everything, talking casually. She's doing a great job interviewing as far as I can tell.
Or be just mean. and say, it's my house, I'm on the lease, I'm going to stay here, kind of thing. Because that's kind of his macho attitude. And so he came this morning. I was getting JJ ready.
So he got in last night, but he wasn't at the house last night.
Yeah, I didn't hear from him. Except for he texted me and said, I'll be there at 7:30 to pick up JJ.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, that was good, because I didn't hear from him. And then he came over in the morning and he's like banging on the door. I'm like, oh great, here we go, you know. And I was just gonna be nice. I was just gonna be nice as possible. And I had JJ stuff all ready for school. And so.
Do you remember about what time he got there?
He said he'd be there 7:30, but it was more like 7:40ish or 7:35. I don't know.
Okay.
But I remember thinking, looking at the clock, and he wasn't there at 7:30, and he's usually Mr.
Punctual.
Yes. So I was like, okay. And then JJ was like, oh, Dad. And then he was like, Mommy, and like ran to me and was like holding me. He's like, you're not taking me to school. And I was like, it's okay, Dad, can just drive you to school. It's not a big deal. You know, just trying to make it whatever.
Calm. Yeah,
calm. And then he was just being real smirky and real like jerky, you know, to me. And I was like ignoring him, whatever. And so he was like,
your brother lives there with you?
No. Okay. He had stayed with me last night because I was worried he was going to come over and cause trouble with me.
Okay.
And
because Alex is your protector, your Gabriel, your Michael, your hitman, whatever you want to call it. Oh, we know you trust your brother. You've orchestrated every murder you've ever committed. Your brother has done. Trusted him so much that you probably had him killed. I shouldn't say that. I don't know that for sure. I'm just
Yeah. Anyway, he's like this about timing. He's like, I'm leaving in 20 minutes because it's like 15 minutes to the school and like you can't get there early. They don't open the gates until like 8:20 or something like that. And I said, well, why don't you just go now? I don't want him in the house. I'm like, why don't you just go now and take him to Burger King because that's what he likes for breakfast. And he's very particular about food. Like, he wanted chicken fries for breakfast and a Sprite. Like, and I just get what he wants because if you don't get what he wants, then it's like on the floor screaming, dragging him into school. Like, and he's big and he's heavy and it's hard for me to handle. But anyway. So I said, just go. And so he said, okay. So I gave him a backpack. He got in the car. This is his MO, right? He always leaves something in the house and comes back. He never leaves the first time. I always expect my husband to come back into the house, right? So I guess he had left his phone on the counter.
So he initially left with the backpack and with JJ?
And so he put them in the car, in the driveway, and then he came back in, right? So I kissed JJ goodbye. He came back in, and his phone was on the counter, and I had his phone. And he was like, giving me my phone, and I was like, why don't you show me your text that you've been texting, blah, 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 you know, whatever. Because he's like acting really weird, like he's plotting something against me. Like, I'm like, why are you even here? Like, what did you come here for, you know? He's been talking to my other brother, and my brother came into town at the same time last night. And I haven't talked to my brother in a while, my other brother, and I was like, and so he was texting.
You mean the brother that doesn't buy your bullshit? That one? The sane one? The smart one?
Texting him on the phone. And, you know, he's been telling me all these texts, like, you're going down, blah, 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 blah. He's blaming me for our marriage breaking up and my niece getting divorced and my friend getting divorced. He said, I'm a destroyer of families because I want everybody to get divorced. I'm like,
no, but you did start cheating. So that's definitely leading to divorce. And you led Melanie away from Brandon and got her involved in this crazy cult where her husband feared for her sanity, the sanity and safety of their children, and that came to fruition when somebody shot at him. So yeah, you kind of are a ruiner of families.
people do.
Yeah.
So it's
funny how she mentioned I had an affair and I'm involved in a crazy zombie cult.
It's just very odd. But anyway, he goes over the years probably 5 times and just stay in a hotel for 2 days because he goes nuts. Like you don't know what's going to set him off, like, whatever. And she's mad at me for always, like, going back, but we had JJ and he's special needs, and it's really hard. Like, it's even hard to take care of it by yourself.
So when you say he goes nuts, that can mean a lot of different things.
Right.
So, goes nuts like yelling and screaming?
Yeah,
goes
yelling
nuts
and screaming.
Like breaking
like,
things?
Yes.
Goes nuts like physical violence?
He's never really, besides like grabbing us and pushing us, but not like punching us or something, but with Tylee.
Did you ever file a police report on any of this?
He has gotten physical before, and with my girl. This fight with my son when he was 16.
Okay.
And he came after Tylee 2 times in Hawaii.
Okay.
And like went like he was going to hit her, but then I got in between them. Right.
How old was she when that happened?
Probably 13 and 14.
Okay. So this morning he comes back in and...
He comes back in, I wouldn't give him his phone. He was screaming at me to give him his phone. He was very worried about whatever was on his text that he did not want me to see. And so I was just holding it there, and he was screaming at me. And I was kind of walking towards around the house with it so he couldn't get it. He's like reaching for it and stuff like that. And so Tylee came out of her room upset, and she had a bat. And she told him to leave her mother alone, like, right? So she was really, whatever. And he's screaming at her, don't you hit me with that bat, blah, 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 blah. And then my brother heard all the commotion because he was in there in bed. And so he came out into the main room and, I guess whatever.
What's your brother's name?
Alex.
Alex, okay.
And then he just started, he was screaming and he was super upset and whatever. And, he's yelling at Tylee, don't you hit me with that bat, and blah, blah, blah. And so Tylee, I guess, I don't know if she swung at him or what, but he, like, grabbed the bat from Tylee and then went to, like, hit Tylee with the bat. It was, and I was right there.
Did Tylee say that? I may have to take a look at her interview again to see if she said that, see if these stories match up.
They were right there, and my brother grabbed him. Just kind of to pull him back, and then they got into the thing, and he's hitting him with the bat, and they're on the ground, like grappling around or whatever. And then, I mean, it was all quickly.
And he hit your brother with the bat while they were grappling and stuff?
Yeah, yes, he was hitting him with the bat, like swinging the bat, you know, back and forth, and they were kind of like on the ground, and I was like freaking out trying to go around, knowing JJ was in the car, right? And so then he got up and he had the bat like this towards me, and I was going around the other side to try to just get out of his range where he couldn't hit me. And then I had told Tylee, because she was on the ground, because after he took the bat from her, she fell back. And so I told her, I was like, go get in the car with JJ. Like, I don't want JJ coming in to the house, or, and I wanted her out of the way. I wanted the kids out of the way of whatever this fight was going to be.
Definitely going to have to listen to Tylee's interview to make sure these stories line up, because something's not quite right here.
And then,
do you remember what they were at all?
Just kind of get off me, out, or whatever, you know, whatever. They were like don't talk to my niece about whatever, whatever. Like, it was, I don't remember specifics, but they were kind of both, they were kind of in the heat of it. I don't think there was many words that I remember.
So Tylee goes outside.
Yeah, she was outside.
And then what happened?
Then they got up from that, and my brother had like stepped back, I guess, and then Charles was coming with me at the bat and yelling at me to give him his phone still, because I had it in my hand. It was all really quickly. And then
why didn't you just give him the phone when he came back in? Why were you like walking around taunting him with it?
When I went around kind of in the circle, then my brother was there.
How was he holding the bat?
Just like that. Like backwards. Almost in one arm.
Like he was swinging it backwards? He would have done like
he would have swung it backwards at me, not frontwards.
Okay, yeah.
He was a professional baseball player.
Okay.
So It wasn't a good idea for Tylee to get out of the house.
Probably not the...
I mean, he played semi-pro
Yeah.
when he was young. But, yeah, and then I was kind of turned around, and we were all right there in that room, except for the kids had been outside by that time, and I heard the gunshot.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you heard the shot?
Mm-hmm.
Did you actually see the shot, or did you just hear it?
I had gone around to the kitchen to get away from him, and so back around. So I don't know if you went in the house.
I didn't, so I'm a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah, so I didn't.
So why did Alex shoot him if he was swinging at you with the bat? I thought it was self-defense on Alex, that he was actually swinging on Alex, not defense of a third party, which would be you. This is all really weird.
I was just freaking out, and it just went into my mind. I'm like, I've got to go to get JJ to school. I've got to get to the kids. I just felt like I got to get to the kids. Mm-hmm. And so I just went outside and to see if they were in there. Okay, I didn't want them coming back in the house when all that was going on. And got JJ in the car, and he was trying to come in. Mm-hmm. And Tylee was like looking at me with like the crazy eyes, like what just happened. And I told her to get in the car and we're going to take JJ to school. Mm-hmm. And
why would you leave your house when a gunshot just went off? That's cray-cray. I don't get that. I don't get that. I don't get that. You could have told the kids to stay in the car. You could have told Tylee to get in there and lock the doors from the inside and not let JJ out. Why would you leave the scene when a gunshot just went off? Weren't you worried about your brother? I mean, I don't know.
I feel like I was there because I was right there, and like a second later, like I just went around the kitchen to get away from him.
Did your brother say anything to you at all? Do you remember?
No, we were both just in shock.
Okay.
Like, it was just
so much shock that you had a pool party that very afternoon.
I didn't say anything. I went out with the kids just to check on them first, and I was going to come back in maybe, but I didn't. I was like, I just have to get, whatever.
Did anybody say did you or your brother say anything at some point about calling the police or calling 911? Do you remember?
Yeah, he called me.
Okay.
And he said, are you taking JJ to school? And I said, yeah, we need to call the police. And he said, okay. Okay.
So he called you when you didn't come back inside, basically?
Right.
Okay.
Because I was like in the car for a minute, and then I was like, what do I do? And I didn't want JJ to go inside, and I didn't know what to do. And Tylee was freaking out. I was trying to get them away from the scene. Understandable.
And you may not know this, so, because I know you heard the shot, do you know at what point your brother had the gun? Do you know if he had it when they got in their first fight, or did he have to go get it, or do you know that at all?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
And do you remember if you ever heard your brother?
I didn't see him ever leave the room.
Okay.
So it was so fast. All that was so fast. Like, I'm on the ground rolling around and I'm screaming, and
this probably happened in a couple seconds.
Yeah, I mean, it was like super fast.
And I don't know if you know this or not, does your brother normally carry a gun? Like, I carry a gun everywhere I go.
Right. Like, I know he's a gun person. Like, he has guns and things.
Okay.
He's good with guns.
Did you know that he had one with him?
No.
When he came over?
No, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because he's very, very professional with guns.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you don't have guns in the house and somebody was shot with a gun, evidently it came into the house.
Proficient, professional, responsible is usually a good.
Right.
So you were trying to get away from him,
Right.
and you heard the shot. Prior to the shot, do you remember at any point hearing your husband or your brother saying anything to either of them?
No.
Okay, I'm going to fast forward a little bit to the end. This entire interview is about 54 minutes, so I want to fast forward to see what else was said toward the end, and then we'll be right back. Is she going to sleep? They left her alone for quite a little bit, evidently. So I'm going to back up and kind of see where this interview ended originally.
I like your daughter a lot.
She's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so she left to... Okay, so she left and went and talked to Tylee. That makes sense. This was like, wow.
Just talk to him a little bit. That way you guys will have a little bit, hopefully, extra support if you need it. So I'm going to go grab Denise real fast and then introduce you guys.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, so at this point, I think the meat of the interview is over. It's just them introducing her to the child services person. I will do a reaction to Tylee's interview as well as Dilemma's from April of this year, a little bit later on. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed it. I do need to rewatch the Tylee interview myself because I can't remember if all those facts line up or not. Maybe you guys can let me know down below. But until then, until next time, Keto Krime.